If there was a competition for biggest loser in life, I'd have gotten second place. Because of course he would have gotten first. Rei Hoshino. My eternal rival. My classmate since kindergarten. My personal nemesis, benchmark, and the boy I'd sworn to surpass, someday. He beat me in grades, in sports, in charm, in student council elections. Even in the talent show, where he sang while I tripped over the mic cable. The universe practically worshipped him. And me? I was just the girl forever 2 steps behind. The last thing I remembered was glaring at his smug grin after graduation. He'd won the top student award again, holding the trophy like it was his destiny. Better luck next life, Nanace, he'd teased, and I'd almost thrown my shoe at him. Funny thing, I didn't get that next life part until much later. Because the next time I opened my eyes, I was standing in front of a mirror that reflected my 16-year-old self. Uniform pristine, no diploma in hand, no failure on record. The calendar on the wall read, April 3rd. The first day of second year. 2 years before graduation. I pinched my arm. It hurt. I went back in time? I whispered. Wait, does that mean? Nanace. That voice. That infuriatingly calm voice. I turned, and there he was, Rei Hoshino, perfect posture, hair annoyingly neat, holding 2 cups of iced coffee like he'd never known defeat in his life. He blinked, confused. You look like you've seen a ghost. You're not wrong, I thought. You were my ghost story. That night, I made my vow again. This time, I wouldn't be second place. No more losing, no more tripping, no more watching him walk ahead like the world belonged to him. If fate gave me a redo, then fine. I'd turn it into my victory lap. Step 1 of my brilliant plan. Beat Ray in academics. Easy, right? Wrong. He was still top of the class, still acing everything, and still smiling like a poster boy for perfection. Morning, Nanace, he greeted as I sat down. Studying again? I thought you gave up after midterms last time. Funny, I said sweetly. This time, you'll be begging me for notes. He chuckled. I look forward to it. Why did confidence look so good on him? The first exam results came out a week later. Ray, first place. Nanace, second place. Again. I stared at the board, hands trembling. What do you mean 98 isn't enough? Ray beside me leaned in just close enough to whisper. You improved. I'm proud of you. My brain short-circuited. Proud? Don't say stuff like that so casually. Step 2. Beat him in popularity. I joined the cultural committee. Helped decorate the sports festival booth. Ray was the event MC, of course. The crowd adored him. But when our group's lemonade stand sold out faster than his club's drinks, he actually looked surprised. I grinned. See? Looks like I'm not so easy to beat anymore. He smiled back, softer this time. I never said you were. That night, lying in bed, I realized something was off. He wasn't teasing me like before. His compliments weren't sarcastic. They were genuine. He'd changed. Or maybe I had. And the worst part? Every time he smiled, my heart lost another round. The school festival was supposed to be my grand victory. After weeks of plotting, planning, and perfecting, my class's haunted cafe was going to crush Rei Hoshino's Maid Butler Cafe Extravaganza. Yes, that was its actual name. He'd even added sparkles to the poster. Sparkles. This year, I declared, slamming my hand on the table during our morning meeting, we'll outdo him once and for all. My classmates nodded with various levels of enthusiasm and fear. Haunted Cafe, Act 1. I'd handle the design, music, and atmosphere. Ray's cafe was polished and elegant. Mine would be thrilling and terrifying. Simple. Efficient. Foolproof. Except, apparently, nothing in my life was ever foolproof. On the day of the festival, everything started fine. Our cafe was dark, spooky, and packed with screaming students. My ghost makeup was on point, my costume dramatic yet cute, objectively speaking, and we were actually earning more tickets than Ray's cafe next door. I was basking in victory when my best friend, Yumi, burst in shouting. Nanace! Emergency! The fog machine won't stop. I blinked. What do you mean won't? Hisses. White fog exploded from the back room like a dragon on caffeine. Within seconds, the cafe turned into a full-blown storm cloud. People screamed, tripped, and fled. Someone spilled soup. Someone else fainted dramatically. And in the midst of the chaos, Rei Hoshino appeared, holding a fire extinguisher like some kind of heroic model student. "Everyone stay calm," he shouted, voice steady. "Nanace, where's the circuit?" "Behind the curtain." I coughed, waving wildly. "Don't you dare laugh." He didn't. He just moved fast. Too fast, honestly, and before I knew it, he was beside me, yanking a cord and flipping a switch. The hiss died. Silence fell. We were both covered in fog residue and flour, don't ask, and everyone was staring. A beat of quiet. Then applause. Ray exhaled, turning to me with that infuriatingly calm smile. "Well, that was exciting." I crossed my arms. "Don't act like you didn't enjoy rescuing your rival." He leaned closer, lowering his voice just enough for only me to hear. "Maybe I did." My heart stuttered. What? Nothing." He turned away, waving to the crowd. All part of public service. Smug, composed, and still annoyingly good-looking under disaster lighting. After the cleanup, I sat outside on the steps, exhausted and humiliated. The sun was setting, painting the school in gold. I was about to sulk in peace when Ray sat beside me, holding 2 cans of soda. "Here," he said, handing me one. "You did good. People loved it. Until it turned into a swamp." He chuckled. "True. But even then, you didn't panic." "That's new." I glanced sideways. "Are you saying I used to panic?" "Yes," he said simply. "You used to hate losing more than you liked winning." I blinked. "That's accurate. And annoying that you noticed." "I always notice you," he said quietly. Silence. A single heartbeat too long. I looked away, pretending to sip my soda. "That's weird." "Don't say weird things." He just smiled. "Then beat me next time and I'll stop." "Fine," I said, hiding my burning face. "You're on." Later that night, as fireworks burst above the campus, I watched Ray surrounded by his friends, laughing under the glow. For the first time, I didn't just see my rival. I saw someone who'd always been walking beside me, waiting for me to catch up. And maybe, just maybe, I finally wanted to. The week after the festival, the school returned to its usual rhythm. Exams, clubs, and caffeine-fueled panic. For everyone else, midterms meant stress. For me, it meant opportunity. If I could beat Ray this time, I'd prove once and for all that Nanace could dethrone the golden boy. I started studying like a woman possessed. Notes, flashcards, practice tests, motivational playlists, the whole shebang. My desk looked like a stationary explosion. Then, 2 days before exams, our homeroom teacher announced the words that doomed me. "Group projects will count toward your literature grade. You'll be paired alphabetically." Which meant, Hoshino and Nanace, your partners. The universe was clearly laughing. Our first study session took place in the library, which might as well have been a battlefield. Ray sat across from me, neat stack of notes, perfect handwriting, calm expression. I had coffee stains, messy papers, and a pulse somewhere above normal human limits. "Here," he said, sliding a page toward me. "Outline for our essay." I blinked. "You already finished it?" "Rough draft." He smiled faintly. "We can improve it together." Translation. He did everything, and I was decoration. "Oh no, Mr. Perfect," I said sweetly. "If we're doing this together, then I'm writing the introduction." "Are you sure? You tend to overuse adverbs." I gasped. "Excuse you, that's slander." He laughed quietly. "Then prove me wrong, Nanace." I swear his smirk powered half the library lights. We spent 3 hours working side by side. Somehow, it didn't feel like rivalry anymore. Every time he leaned over to explain something, I caught the faint scent of his shampoo. Clean, minty, irritatingly nice. At one point our fingers brushed while reaching for the same pen. We froze. My heart decided to audition for a drum solo. He pulled back first, clearing his throat. "Sorry." "It's fine." I squeaked. "Totally fine." Why would it not be fine? He gave me a look halfway between amusement and disbelief. You're interesting when you're flustered. Shut up and conjugate your verbs. Exam week came and went in a blur of coffee and late nights. When the results went up, I nearly fainted. Ray, first place. Nanace, first place. A tie. For the first time ever. I stared at the board, speechless. Ray stood beside me, hands in pockets, smiling. Looks like you finally caught up. Ha! Finally? I'm tied. That means I've technically beaten you in progress. Then, he said softly, I guess I'll just have to work harder to impress you. My brain blue screened. Impress what? He turned away before I could process it, waving lazily. See you after class, partner. I stood there, cheeks burning, surrounded by my classmates whispering things like, are they flirting? And about time. No, they were wrong. We weren't flirting. We were rivals. Totally normal, competitive, academically driven rivals. Who maybe smiled too much around each other. That night, I stared at my ceiling, replaying his words again and again. Work harder to impress you. Why did that sound less like a challenge, and more like a promise? If the universe had a sense of humor, I was its favorite punchline. After the midterm tie, everyone at school started treating Ray and me like a duo act. Power pair of Class 2A. Future couple goals. Study buddies with suspicious chemistry. Ridiculous. I was his rival, not his sidekick, or his, whatever people were whispering. So when the teacher caught us arguing too loudly in the hallway and sentenced us to joint detention, it felt like the final punchline to a cosmic joke. We sat in the empty classroom, side by side, as the sun set through the windows. The air smelled faintly of chalk and late-day warmth. This is your fault, I muttered, erasing the blackboard as punishment. My fault, Ray said, organizing a pile of dusty old books. You're the one who shouted, and I quote, "Stop looking at me with your stupid perfect face." I glared at him over my shoulder. Because you were smirking. I wasn't smirking. You were definitely smirking. He sighed, the corner of his mouth twitching dangerously. You're impossible. And you're... I stopped mid-sentence because he was suddenly right behind me, reaching past to grab a book from the shelf. His sleeve brushed mine. The air shifted. For a moment, the world went strangely quiet. I could feel his heartbeat. No, mine, pounding loud enough to echo. Ray's voice dropped, low and calm. You were saying? I swallowed. That you're way too close. He didn't move back. His eyes were sharp and soft all at once, that same look he got when he solved a difficult equation. Like I was something he was trying to figure out. The clock ticked. Then, mercifully, our teacher returned to dismiss us. As we packed up, I avoided his gaze, pretending to be very interested in the classroom floor. Hey, Ray said quietly, stopping by the door. You okay? I'm fine, I said too quickly. Totally fine. Never been more fine. He smiled, small, knowing. Then stop running from me like you just lost again. My head snapped up. Excuse me. He shrugged. You always run when you're scared to admit something. I opened my mouth to argue but froze. His words hit harder than I wanted to admit. He left before I could respond, leaving me standing there with my heart in freefall. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his smirk, his calm voice, his stupidly soft expression when he said, "Stop running." Was I running? And if I was, what was I running from? I didn't have an answer. But I did know one thing. For the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to win anymore. The next morning, I walked into class to find a note on my desk. Meet me after school on the rooftop. I have something to say. Ray. My pulse skipped. 100 possibilities flashed through my mind. Apology? Another challenge? Whatever it was, something told me the next round wouldn't be about grades. The rooftop was quiet when I arrived. Only the hum of the city below and the soft breeze tugging at my hair. The sunset stretched across the sky in streaks of orange and gold, painting everything in warmth that felt almost unreal. I clutched Ray's note in my hand, my heartbeat doing backflips. What was I even expecting? A challenge? A truce? A proposal of academic alliance? I was still running through increasingly ridiculous possibilities when the door creaked open behind me. Ray stepped out, school jacket slung over his shoulder, the dying sunlight catching in his eyes. Of course, even the sunset conspired to make him look cinematic. "You came," he said simply. I tried to sound casual. "I had to make sure you weren't planning another smug victory speech." He smiled faintly. Tempting. But no. He walked over and leaned against the railing beside me. For a while, neither of us spoke. The wind carried the faint sound of laughter from the courtyard below, other students cleaning up, moving on with their ordinary, non-heart attack-inducing lives. Finally, Ray broke the silence. "You've changed, Nanace." I blinked. "Changed how?" "You used to glare every time I looked your way," he said with a chuckle. "Now you just glare slightly less." I snorted. Wow, heartfelt compliment. "I'm touched. I'm serious." His tone softened. "You used to try so hard to beat me, like your whole worth depended on it. But now, you seem happier just being you." I stared at him, unsure how to answer. Because he wasn't wrong. This time around, I wasn't chasing perfection just to prove something. I was chasing me. And somehow, in the process, I'd started looking forward to seeing him every day. Annoying, brilliant, infuriating Ray. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked quietly. He looked at me then, really looked, and for a heartbeat, everything stopped. "Because," he said, "I realized somewhere along the way. I don't want to beat you either." My chest tightened. "Then what do you want?" His lips curved into that rare, almost shy smile I'd never seen before. "To walk beside you, maybe. Compete. Laugh. Lose sometimes." "Lose?" I echoed, half laughing. Ray Hoshino admitting defeat? The apocalypse must be near. He laughed too, then, unexpectedly, took a small step closer. I froze. "Nanace," he murmured. "You said once that you'd outshine me this time around." "Yeah. And I'm still working on that." "You already have." The words hit harder than any exam result ever could. For a moment, it felt like the world tilted just a little closer. His gaze dropped to my lips, my breath caught. The air thickened with something that wasn't rivalry anymore. Then, bang! The rooftop door flew open. Yumi's voice rang out. "Nanace, there you are. The teacher's looking for you." "Oh my God, am I interrupting something?" Ray straightened instantly, the faintest blush coloring his ears. "We were just talking," he said smoothly. "Sure you were," Yumi said, grinning. I wanted to sink into the concrete. I'll be right there." Yumi winked and disappeared again. When I turned back, Ray was already smirking. "Saved by the bell." I crossed my arms, glaring to hide my racing pulse. "Don't look so pleased. You didn't say what you were going to say." He met my eyes. "I will. Next time. Promise. Promise." He turned toward the door, pausing long enough to add, "Oh, and Nanace, don't make me wait too long. Some of us don't like losing twice." As I watched him leave, the sunset faded into twilight. My heart was still pounding, caught between laughter and something dangerously close to hope. For the first time, I didn't feel like his rival anymore. I felt like his equal. And maybe, just maybe, something more. If there's one thing every student dreams of, it's the annual school trip. Hot springs. Temples. Night walks. Potential scandal. A 3-day, 2-night test of friendship, teamwork, and emotional self-control. Unfortunately, emotional self-control was not my strong suit, especially when Ray Hoshino was involved. Day 1. Disaster. Predictably. "Okay, teams of 2 for the temple tour," the teacher announced. Naturally, my best friend Yumi had already paired up with someone else, leaving me with. "Looks like it's us again," Ray said, handing me the itinerary. Of course. Of course the universe couldn't resist. "I swear you're cursed," I muttered, adjusting my bag. He smirked. "Maybe it's fate." I ignored the way my stomach flipped. "Don't get any ideas. I'm only agreeing because I want to actually learn something this trip." He arched an eyebrow. "Right. You mean learn how not to get lost again." "That was one time." He laughed quietly, and I hated that the sound made my face warm. The temple was beautiful. Tall vermilion gates, the smell of incense, sunlight filtering through maple trees. I should have been focusing on the history. Instead, my brain was stuck on how close he was walking beside me. At one point, an old monk mistook us for a couple and handed us a matching charm. For harmony and mutual understanding, the monk said kindly. I sputtered. Oh, we're not. He's not. But Ray took the charms without missing a beat. Thank you, sir. We'll treasure them. Ray. What? It's rude to refuse blessings. Blessings give it back. He tucked mine in his pocket. Nope. I'm keeping it safe. I glared at him, fully aware that half our class was snickering nearby. Nighttime. Trouble in Tatami Paradise. By the time night rolled around, I was exhausted, and dangerously close to emotional meltdown. The girls' room was full of gossip. Everyone was talking about who liked who got paired up, who might be secretly dating. When someone mentioned Ray, all heads turned to me. So, Nanace, one girl teased. What's going on between you two? You've been inseparable lately. I nearly choked on my juice. And nothing. We just argue a lot. Argue, huh? Yumi grinned. You mean flirt? I buried my face in my pillow. You're all delusional. Day 2. The slip-up. The next day, during the mountain trail walk, the weather turned unexpectedly windy. Somehow, our group got separated. And of course, it was me and Ray stranded halfway up the hill. Great, I huffed. We're lost again. He chuckled, brushing leaves from his hair. Deja vu. I told you we should have turned left. I told you to check the map before you started ranting. We bickered until the wind picked up harder, sending my hat flying down the path. Without a word, Ray sprinted after it, catching it right before it tumbled off the cliffside. When he came back, breathless, holding it out to me, I froze. The sunlight hit his face just right. His eyes, warm and serious, met mine. You're always running ahead, he said quietly. Slow down sometimes. You don't have to prove anything to me. My chest squeezed. You're impossible. And you're terrible at saying thank you. I took the hat, glaring half-heartedly. Fine. Thank you. Happy now? Not yet, he murmured. What do you mean? Because I like you, Nanace. My mind went blank. You what? He blinked, realizing what he'd said, and groaned. Wait, that came out wrong. Came out wrong? You just... Before I could say another word, our classmates' voices echoed down the path. Found them. Hey, what are you two doing up there alone? Ray's ears went bright red. We're just talking. I stared at him, heart pounding, completely undone. Talking. Right. Sure. That was one way to describe accidentally confessing halfway up a mountain. That night, neither of us could look each other in the eye during dinner. But when I reached into my pocket later, I found something there. The matching temple charm. Mine. Returned. Tied neatly with a note. For harmony and mutual understanding. I meant what I said. Ray. My heart did a very dramatic, very inconvenient somersault. By the last night of the trip, the air felt charged. Half from humidity, half from the fact that Ray Hoshino's accidental confession had spread through the entire grade like wildfire. I hadn't told anyone, of course. But apparently someone, Yumi, had seen the look on my face after the hike and decided to connect the dots. So now everyone was whispering. Did he really say it? Is she going to respond? Are they dating? I couldn't walk 5 steps without someone winking at me. Fantastic. Just fantastic. That night, the teachers organized a fireworks show by the riverbank. The students gathered in groups, laughing, taking pictures, some sneaking snacks. I stayed off to the side, watching the lights flicker across the water. I was trying very hard not to think about Ray, or how he'd looked when he said I like you. Maybe it had been the adrenaline. Maybe he didn't mean it. Right. Still overthinking? I didn't have to turn around to know it was him. Ray stood beside me, hands in his pockets, eyes on the glowing sky. He looked calm, but there was a nervous tilt to his shoulders I'd never seen before. Everyone's talking, I muttered. Thanks for that, by the way. He smiled faintly. Sorry. Didn't mean to cause a scene. You confessed on a mountain. I said it slipped out. I crossed my arms. So it didn't count? He looked at me then, really looked. I didn't say that. My breath caught. He stepped closer, the glow of the fireworks painting his face in gold and crimson. Nanace, I meant it. I just didn't plan on saying it where half the world could hear. I swallowed. Why me? You could have liked anyone. You've always been perfect. He laughed softly. Perfect? I was only trying to keep up with you. Keep up? You've always been ahead. Maybe academically, he said, voice low. But you're the one who makes things brighter. You make people try harder, even me. I stared at him, words failing completely. Another firework bloomed above, lighting the river in silver and red. Before I could stop myself, I whispered, "You're still impossible." He smiled. Does that mean you like me back? I hesitated 1, 2, 3 heartbeats, then said, maybe. Maybe. Don't push it. But he grinned like I just handed him first place again. I'll take maybe. We stood there as the last fireworks burst overhead, loud and bright and fleeting. And when the final spark faded, he reached out, hesitantly, almost shyly, and laced his fingers through mine. See, he said quietly. We tied once. Maybe this time we can just stay even. I squeezed his hand, smiling despite myself. Fine. But if you start bragging, I'm breaking up with you before we even start. He laughed, the sound soft and warm against the cool night air. Deal. Later, Yumi caught us walking back together and shrieked loud enough to wake the teachers. I wanted to be embarrassed. But when Ray looked at me, smiling like he finally found what he'd been chasing all along, I just laughed. Because for once, this didn't feel like winning. It just felt right. Spring came back to campus in full bloom. Cherry petals fluttered across the school courtyard like snow, landing in our hair, our notebooks, our lunchboxes. And for the first time in years, I wasn't counting grades, rankings, or wins. I was just living. Nanace, you're spacing out again, Ray said, flicking my forehead lightly. We were sitting under the cherry trees after school, textbooks spread between us. Students laughed nearby, someone was playing guitar, and the sky was the soft pink of late afternoon. I made a face. I'm thinking. Dangerous habit. I smirked. You know, dating you doesn't give you the right to insult me more efficiently. Dating? He repeated, feigning surprise. You never actually said the word. Don't start. He laughed, leaning back against the tree trunk. Relax. I'm joking mostly. Mostly. He tilted his head, watching me with that calm, infuriating, impossibly gentle look that still made my heart trip over itself. I just like hearing you say it, he said quietly. I groaned. You're insufferable. Admit it. You like me better that way. I wanted to argue. I really did. But instead, I found myself smiling like a total idiot. Yeah, maybe I do. In the week since the school trip, things between us had shifted, not dramatically, but subtly, like the seasons changing without anyone noticing. We still competed. Still argued. Still tried to one-up each other in class and games and basically everything. The difference was, now it was fun. When I beat him in English, he grinned and bought me a soda. When he topped me in math, I made him homemade cookies, which I may or may not have burned slightly. We were still rivals. Just not enemies anymore. Now, we were something better. One afternoon, as the final bell rang and students streamed out, Ray packed his bag and looked over at me. Hey, he said. Graduation's in a few months. Yeah, I said softly. Time's fast, huh? He nodded. So, what do you want to do next? I blinked. What do you mean? I mean after all this. He gestured around. The classroom, the window, the sunlight. University. Future. Us. The word us lingered in the air. I smiled. I don't know yet. But wherever I go, I'll keep running forward. He smiled back. Then I'll make sure I'm running right beside you. Still trying to tie? Of course. We left together, walking down the quiet hallway as the sunset painted long shadows across the floor. Outside, the cherry trees swayed, petals dancing in the wind. Ray reached out and caught one before it fell. Lucky petal, he said. Make a wish. I thought for a second, then smiled. I already got mine. He blinked. Oh, you. He stared at me, just for a second, then burst out laughing. You finally said something corny. Don't tell anyone. Too late, he said, lacing his fingers through mine. I'm never letting you live it down. And that was us. Rivals. Partners. Idiots in love. We'd started as competitors trying to outshine each other. And ended up realizing we'd been shining brighter together all along. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more original novel stories. And stay tuned, our next story is coming soon.